First of all, actually, my name is Christina Lerman. I'm a principal scientist at Information Sciences Institute, and I'm based in Marina del Rey. All right, so I have three panelists here. First is Dr. Yolanda Gill. She's the Director of Knowledge Technologies and Associate Division Director at the Information Sciences Institute. And she also holds a joint appointment as research professor in computer science and in spatial sciences departments. And she's also associate director of interdisciplinary program in informatics. And she runs actually data science boot camps for students, master students, as she will do actually started next week. Yolanda collaborates with scientists in different domains on semantic workflows and metadata capture, social knowledge collection, computer-mediated collaboration, and automated discovery. She has served in the advisory committee of the Computer Science and Engineering Directorate in the NSF. She initiated and chaired the W3C provenance group that led to a community standard in this area. Yolanda is a fellow of the Association of ACM and past chair of a special interest group in artificial intelligence. She is also a fellow of the AAA AI, and she was elected its 24th president in 2016. Welcome, Yolanda. Next to Yolanda is Dr. A.J. Jacob. He is the director of Advanced Electronics Group, which he joined after 16 years of industry experience from Intel and Global Foundries. At Intel, A.J. worked as a senior research scientist for the Component Research Group in Portland, Oregon. At Global Foundries, A.J. led the Exploratory Device and Integration Research Group and also Pathfinding Integration Research Program for the IBM Alliance. He also led the Differentiating Technology Research Group at Global Foundries. Over the span of 8 years there, A.J. managed the research of for 14, 10, and 7 nanometer technology nodes and more than more differentiating disruptive elements. A.J. has over 150 patents and more than 60 patents pending, so he's quite prolific in creating new technologies. He's also published widely, and in 2013 and 16, Semiconductor Research Corporation awarded him a Mahbub Khan Outstanding Industry Liaison Award. Welcome, AJ. Finally, we have Steve Schwab, who should be already well known to many of you. Steve is the research director at ISI's Network and Cybersecurity Division. Prior to joining ISI in March of 2011, and I should say he works at the Arlington office for the most part, but we see a lot of him at Marina del Rey as well. So prior to joining ISI, he held positions over a period of 14 years, first as a technical staff member, then as a principal research scientist, and ultimately manager of security research at Sparta, and different organizations that Sparta acquired, such as McAfee Research and Trusted Information Systems. In fact, he says that he stayed in the same office while the nameplate, his membership changed over the years. His broad area of research in cybersecurity, growing out of earlier work in operating systems and parallel computing and networking. At ISI, Steve is PI for several DARPA projects, continuing a 20-year arc of research in evaluation of cybersecurity prototypes and network systems. His teams often must build research infrastructure, including testbed hardware and software, and experimental environments and scenarios in which to rigorously evaluate novel capabilities and research advances. Currently, this includes testbeds for evaluating opportunistic edge computing and precision queue quality of service for network applications and flows, along with several other classified efforts. Welcome, Steve. So this panel is going to run as follows. First, we asked panelists to prepare a little pitch, about 5-minute long pitch, with their views on the research developments, along with challenges and opportunities that face us in the coming years, maybe a decade or so. And then we will have Q&A discussion with the panelists, which I will start off with a couple of questions. All right, so Yolanda will go first.
Thank you. I interviewed at ISI in the spring of 1992, and ISI is a jewel in terms of AI research. That's what I will be talking about today. I did my interview over 2 days. I was quite intimidated that it was so long, but I had conversations with people like Craig, who was already here, Yigal Ahrens, Bill Swartout, Paul Rosenblum, and I was so impressed with the breadth and the collegiality that I found at ISI that I was sold from almost the first minute I was here. Over the years, I think AI at ISI has become, I think of ISI as a jewel of AI. We've done a lot of community leadership and many different contributions in many different areas. But looking towards the future, there's a sea of change in AI in particular that I wanted to share with you my views on it. Okay, so my comments will be motivated and inspired by a recent report that I did commissioned by the National Science Foundation on what will AI research need to look like in the next 20 years funded by government so that we can complement and enhance the innovations that are happening in industry. What should the AI academic research community focus on? This report was released early fall last year, and it has already influenced the revised National Strategic Plan for AI, looking at priorities for government funding that was released a couple of months ago, and also the National Security Commission on AI that is looking at AI internationally and competitiveness internationally as well as security. What this roadmap really highlights for me as an AI researcher is two things. One is that after decades of research in AI, it is not hard anymore to motivate AI research. So the report really outlines a lot of really compelling, motivating applications of AI that are beyond things that industry is going to address. So things like managing the cost of healthcare, things like making society more just and fair, things like accelerating science. Those are all topics where industry can contribute a little, but academia really needs to take leadership and with government support to move these drivers forward. And it's very easy to see how much AI can contribute to these areas. To make these visions possible in the next 20 years or so, there's a lot of AI innovations that are very exciting that will need sustained and focused investments in the US. So I'll highlight very, very high level 3 research areas that we recommend prioritizing. The first one is integrated intelligence. So today we're very good at developing something that acts intelligently with a very narrow focus or a very particular task, but we don't understand very well how to combine different intelligent abilities such as learning and planning or reasoning and predicting and so on. A second area is having meaningful interactions. So today we can, at the most, rely on an AI system to book a table at a restaurant or to order a pair of earbuds. We really want AI systems to be capable of taking on and for us to delegate on them things that are much more meaningful and extensive, as well as to support efficient human-to-human collaboration and efficient human-machine collaboration. We don't have good mechanisms to do that today. And then the third area is self-aware learning. This is extending the notion that today we give machine learning systems the data and the goals, what to optimize, but tomorrow we want to be able to have the machine learning systems themselves be aware of their problem, their context, and seek data and determine their own goals for what needs to be learned. So these are priority technical areas. Industry is making focused and limited types of work. These are very, very hard challenges for AI. Long term, of course, we want to understand intelligence and to have a way to use that understanding to address the studies of the brain, mental diseases, and so on. But in the next 20 years, these are 3 very high priority priority areas, and to really tackle them, we talk in the report about the lack of necessary infrastructure in academia to pursue them. So I'll take as an example healthcare. It's very hard for AI researchers to really access healthcare data and be transformative in the ways that AI can address different aspects of that. So what the report recommends, and I think in our discussion, it will tell you how the landscape for AI research needs to change and what role can ISI play in changing that research landscape. The report recommends new national AI infrastructure. So part of it is open platforms and resources. For example, we have personal assistants, conversational assistants, but nobody in the AI community has data or open platforms for personal assistants that we can extend and do research on. Data is also a problem, accessing data and being able to process and analyze data efficiently. So there's a lot to be done in terms of open AI platforms and resources. At the same time, there's a lot of AI challenges that come from industry, but we want AI challenges that come from solving AI problems that matter to us. So how can the community formulate these challenges intrinsically rather than letting external forces impose challenges on us? And what the report recommends is that we think about this national infrastructure driven by centers that are multi-university, large, long-term centers, maybe analogous to the supercomputing centers that we've had, although much more distributed, that focus on research, and then mission-driven centers that are more focused on particular problems. So an example of a mission-driven center would be an AI-driven hospital, where everybody there is in support of AI research, and the data is really accessible, and there's a way to affect the processes throughout the daily functioning of this. So transforming the AI landscape in this way requires sustained and long-term investments. And what we see is that there's been other areas that have become in the past much more prone to experimental research, and AI is in that verge of, it has become a really experimental discipline, and academia has less access to being able to do that kind of experimentation and innovation that we need to push together the research agenda. So there's some examples in this slide about other areas in science that have had significant and long-term investments that have been incredibly beneficial. I'll show you that internationally there's a lot of that you hear about AI investments, but what I want to highlight here is investments that are one award for $1 billion and one award for 10 years. So this means sustained, and this means significant, and I think that these are the trends that we have to look for in AI in the next few years. There is some movement in this direction in the US. And so I wanted to highlight that NSF has now a call for national AI institutes that very much follows our recommendation of the AI centers, much smaller scale. There's really no agency that is poised to support AI at the scale that we are recommending. And so there was a draft bill that was put forward by Representative Schumer, Senator Schumer, talking about major investments, $100 billion over 5 years on a new agency that would kind of coordinate between NSF and DARPA to invest in AI. So this is what is coming, and this is what is happening in Washington. And a lot of the questions that I get are about, what would your community do with $100 million a year investment and so on. So as far as ISI, this is just a sketch of the kinds of things that we can think about at ISI and at USC about how can we develop AI. So one is looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges, this kind of analysis. And I think ISI has tremendous strengths in terms of projects, resources, leadership. We have on campus at an ICT really, really strong partners in AI. But we have some weaknesses in our way to do limited AI hiring. Our strategy is not very well developed, and there's not big AI initiatives at USC like there are in other universities. We also have many opportunities, very good researchers, and we are very well known for our in-use driven AI research. But we also have some challenges that current funding and existing funding places tremendous demands in our time, and also other universities have really significant fundraising and initiatives in AI. So I just wanted to mention that through the CKID Center on campus, promoted by Viterbi, and something that we're doing at the provost level to establish collaborations with other schools in data science and AI, I think that will help us create a better foundation for more massive AI efforts, and also the new gift from the Lord Foundation that might enable a larger initiative at USC on AI and data science.
All right. Thank you, Yolanda.